Hello friends, today I want to talk about one of the things that I got asked the other day in our community is how can you build a high-performing team, right? Because as you know, we help entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and freelancers accelerate their execution and performance skills, right? So they become way better than they were in a very short amount of time, and they now realize that they can do a lot more than they couldn't before. So opportunities keep coming in, and they had the ability to build a team. But how can you build the right team, right? How can you not squander the potential the entrepreneur has by himself? And that's a very good question. And obviously, the answer depends on the size of the team. It is much harder to build a 100 people high-performing team than it is to build a 5 or a 10 or even a 25 people high-performing team, right? So this advice is mostly going to cater to this 5 to 25 people team that most bootstrap business normally fancy. And to me, essentially it boils down to nailing 3 things, right? It's having the right people in the right seats, doing the right thing. I'd start with the right people. So what does the right people look? Well, to me, it's all about attitude. It's about not necessarily having the skills, but definitely having the character traits to commit to the process and develop the skills. Because skills can be taught, but character traits take way longer. So the right people are those that have an eagerness to learn, that they know they're good, but they're willing to push even harder to become truly exceptional. But at the same time, they do not fall for the ego trap. So they do not think of themselves as better than they are, and they're able to collaborate with their colleagues. So this is, to me, a good person for a company. Someone that is willing to work hard in order to become better himself or herself and share the wins and the losses with other colleagues that are on the same journey. So that's crucially important. If you hire a chronically low performer person, someone without the appropriate skill set and also lacking the character traits, it is very hard to make it work. Now, 2, the right seats. And this advice goes counter most advice that I see in terms of how to map out your organization and subdivide processes. See, most people like to draft organizational roles of their companies, right? So you know the guy that is the head of marketing, right? And then you have the head of sales, and then you have the VP of whatever. But that doesn't really give you enough information. What you should be aiming to have instead is a role map, right? Doesn't really matter if someone is called VP of marketing or head of marketing. What matters is what is exactly the processes and systems that that person owns. Who is doing the things you know need to be done, because oftentimes you'll find that processes are done by more than one people, so the responsibility is shared, and that's when problems start. Or you'll find that there's someone on too many seats in the company and therefore diluting his or her focus and not being able to do work of quality. Right? So the right seat means not only matching the skill set with the position, but also understanding that what matters is not necessarily the position. What matters is what sits behind the position, which is the processes and the system that person is owning. And I like to subdivide that as much as possible, right? So ideally, one person will be owning as few processes as possible, because that should ensure a higher quality of the work. So the right people in the right seats, doing the right things. And this is crucial because it is very easy to mistake the forest for the trees, to work on what doesn't need to be done, to think of busyness as a badge of honor and pursue too many processes, too many aims, too many targets without enough intensity. So you eventually fall by the wayside or fall by shiny object syndrome and don't get where you want to get. And that isn't your team's fault. That's your fault as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. You need to set the direction and protect those workers' focus. If you truly are committed to one outcome or as few outcomes as possible, your team will naturally gravitate towards the same level of commitment towards that focus and single-mindedness, which breeds results. Remember that performance is all about focus and intensity, right? So this is how I advise entrepreneurs to build their teams, by selecting the right people and ideally hiring for attitude, not necessarily for skills, in the right seats. So having a clear understanding of all the processes in the company so each person can own as few processes as possible to master the quality of the process. And finally, doing the right things. Performance is about focus. So if you set a very clear intention and you truly enforce one priority as the utmost priority, everything will become easier, and high performance will be the byproduct of that commitment to collaboration, focus, and extreme attention to detail. See you in the next video.